Hello, everyone. Looks like the Zoom meeting is filling up. My name is Rakesh. I'm the founder and CEO of SnapStream, and we're excited that you're all joining us. We'll just wait for the attendees to fill up here, and then Rudy and I will get started. We're excited to share some of our experiences with you around live streaming.
66, awesome. Got a question already, huh?
Love it. It's awesome. Looks like you have someone who knows you, Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, yes, I do. Hey, Elizabeth, how are you doing?
Yeah, it's great to see everyone.
It's like a virtual reunion, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we have, looks like a little over 70 people joining us on the webinar today, which is just great.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So, hey, Rudy, why don't we? I want to be mindful of everyone's time. Let's. What do you say? Let's get the show started.
Let's do it, man.
All right. Welcome to everybody. Again, my name is Rakesh. I'm the founder and CEO of SnapStream. I have a short slide at the end of this presentation, just mentioning who we are, what we do. But I have been, in and around the live streaming space for since really it got started. In addition to being the founder of SnapStream, I also am a prolific investor in a variety of tech companies, including a number of media tech companies. If anybody out there knows VidPresso, I was a seed investor in VidPresso, which was acquired by Facebook. Randall and a lot of the team from VidPresso are now driving the live strategy at Facebook. But anyway, been a student of media for forever. So, and Rudy, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Rakesh. My name is Rudy Ellis. I'm the CEO of Switchboard Live. And like Rakesh, I've been in the live streaming space for well over 15 years now, back in the old Window Media days. So it's just been exciting to see how video has matured and grown over, the course of years. And, I cut my teeth working at companies like Jump TV, New Lion, and XOS Digital, running their live digital and streaming operations teams, responsible for live streams for, close to 20,000 events a year. So now, we're on this path to build Switchboard Live. And super excited.
Yeah, and Switchboard Live is not, didn't get into live streaming, a couple months ago, right? You've been doing this for a while. So going back to 2015.
Yeah, 2020. The idea was 2013, right? August in 2013. Had this idea where, there's all these great platforms that are out there, right? Niche platforms for different types of use cases. But then you had the Justin TVs, you had the Ustreams, you had the live streams, and you had YouTube Live. And it's like, why can't your content really coexist in both platforms so you can get the discoverability, the reach, the viewership, but still support your masses, right? And so that was that aha moment. And honestly, that's been our North Star since, kind of focusing on making it simple for that to happen.
Yeah. And so 2013, that was well before like Facebook Live was a thing, and before Periscope was a thing. So let me give you like an overview to everybody of what it is what we're going to be covering in the presentation today. We have a short slide on talking about the history of the live streaming space. We want to talk about the different live streaming services and the role that each of them play, because they all have different audiences and different dynamics, which can affect where you want to be live streaming. And then really like the core of the presentation is we want to give folks simple and actionable workflows for going live. So we've got some tools like Ecamm Live and Zoom, of course, and a few others that we'll mention to you, and we'll kind of highlight pros and cons. We also have some like general tips on producing a good live stream. What are the big things to pay attention to and get right? And then we'll wrap it up with Q&A. Just as before we kind of get into the presentation, I'd love to get to know the audience. Either in a chat or in the Q&A, just where's everyone located? And you know, be great to understand sort of, you know, maybe some frame of reference. So we have Toronto,
Netherlands.
All right, the
Look
Netherlands.
at that.
Yeah, that's awesome. We got Manchester by the Sea, the UK.
Ireland, I like that. Tallahassee.
I love it. Yeah, TV station in Wilmington, Delaware.
Hey, Ivan, what's going on, man? I know those guys.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Santa Monica. Are we above 100 yet? Like we're, if not, I know we're really close. Yeah, we're above 100 attendees, which is great.
Fantastic.
It's great. We got a shout out for Switchboard. Love your platform. That's awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah, Jacksonville, Florida. Wow, we have somebody from Egypt, Bangkok, Thailand.
It's funny. That's the question, right? That gets the real engagement, right? People love to shout out where they're watching from. Like, I don't. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's a good idea, right, to engage your audience. So that's cool. It's great to get to know everybody. We have a few poll questions as we go through this to also, and we'll share the results back to all of you. But hey, let's start and talk about the history of live stream. You know, Rudy has really a great frame of reference on this because he's been doing this from the beginning. So Rudy, why don't you jump in?
I don't see the deck.
Yeah. Why not? Okay, well,
there we go.
There we go. Good call.
All right, I was wondering what was missing. Well, cool. Thanks, Rakesh. So one of the things we kind of just wanted to paint the picture and the landscape of just, where live had started, right? Back in the broadcast.com days, where, Mark Cuban made that, infamous investment, and turned that into, a great amount of money as well, right? From the IPO. And then as you kind of, segue to, Ustream and really figuring out the tool sets.
Yeah, I'm just going to add, Rudy, broadcast.com was pretty amazing, in its time, like putting aside the video streaming aspect of what they did. They had $1 billion IPO. Yahoo acquired them for over $6 billion in 1995. So, they had this like a big sort of, almost like a poster child for the .com era was like the Victoria's Secret
runway show,
supermodel runway show that they broadcast on their network. So yeah, super early days of bringing live video to the internet.
And it definitely wasn't HTML5 video back then. So think about the size of the video, right? It probably was that small 320 by 240, and so forth. So no, that's definitely a great point. So as we make our way up to 2007, this kind of notion of private live streaming, right? Going to a provider to be able to give you, a live streaming platform like livestream.com and Ustream. And the cool thing about Ustream, that was actually devised from, Brad and so forth, where as a communication tool, right? So Iraq soldiers or soldiers that were deployed overseas, being a way for them to be able to communicate with their family members, right? So that was the concept. And I think it's just really interesting that how, these ideas are stemmed from, a problem, right? How can we make, live video solve solutions, right? And then we kind of make our way.
Yeah, I mean, necessity is the mother of invention, right? I mean, we can talk about that in the current era of COVID-19, sure. Right?
Of course. Yeah, think about it, right? How what we're doing right now, right, is really having, this could have been a fireside chat where the two of us was next to each other, but now we're leveraging technology to do that. As we migrate to social, right? So for me, I think, around this time, this is like right when we, the idea and we were thinking about, Switchboard, or back then we were called Joycaster, right? So this was that mode where social streaming, right? Being able to have that engagement, right? That's the benefit of live video, is being able to have questions and comments and real-time reactions. And, I think South by Southwest 2015, with Meerkat and Periscope around that time, that's really when things started taking off. And then when you have some of the bigger players coming in with Facebook and having billboards on, or buses that wrapped with just making live video much more attainable and really bringing down the technical complexity around live and making it, much more, I guess I would say user-friendly, to be honest. And so I just see that that was probably the inflection point for where live really started to take off, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the way I think about it is, if you look at the arc of Facebook, they've constantly evolved the units of content that are make up the news feed. And it started out with text updates. If you go back to the
Right,
earliest days, that's
right,
all Facebook was text updates.
right.
Then of course they added photos, and Facebook became a photo network, the best way to share your photos and see your friends' photos. And then they did video, and video became a really big thing. And the big thing that happened in 2015 was they created live video as a new unit of content. It became, you could share a text update, you could share a photo, you could share a video. Oh, by the way, you can also go live. And
Hmm.
that was like the big transformative thing in the arc of in the broader arc of media that happened in 2015. And of course, Facebook also threw a lot of money at it.
Sure.
There was definitely, I would say, like you know, a bubble and irrational exuberance around in the content world, in the media world around live video. Some people burn their hands on that, but I think that like it came down off of that, where I heard one of our customers, a major network, said that when they go live now, it's something that they do very intentionally, and
Mm.
there's not a lot of drama around it. It just happens to sit between, say, a TV broadcast and somewhere below that, like they're not going to roll a camera crew out somewhere, but they're going to go live because it's sort of a medium level news event.
No, I agree totally. And here we are, 2020, right? So people are going live, working from home, right? Just being able to adopt and augment kind of like their normal workflow. I think that just seeing how this has taken off, with the unfortunate situations that's happening in the world with regards to pandemic, that's happening, being able to disseminate any type of information from public information to safety to mental health awareness. It's giving another platform for people to kind of to elevate and talk about some of these issues from their living room, right? And it's amazing just to see how folks are adopting to these new mediums.
Yeah, there's a tweet here of our ESPN host Stephen Smith, and somebody had posted that he went live and he had 200,000 viewers. So
Wow.
we're definitely, I think, at another inflection point right now in the world of live video,
Agreed.
out of necessity. But here's the interesting thing from my perspective, as somebody who's invests in early stage technology companies. I'm always trying to figure out where the hockey puck is going, and my belief is that when we settle into a new normal, and we get past where we're at right now where it's all virtual. I've done like virtual trainings at the gym that I go to. I've hung out with family virtually. I've had happy hours virtually, right? Like all of this, our lives are, I'm working from home right now, 20, all the time. And so the shift has happened. But as we get into a new normal, I think that like people will be rewired to
Sure.
want the positive benefits of all of this virtual stuff. So we're going to end up in a place where all of these services that we currently avail ourselves of, that are like person to person, there's going to be an expectation that there needs to be a heavier digital component. The
Totally agree.
expectations are totally going to be changed. Like,
Totally
so
agree.
what people are going to demand hybrid. They're going to want both,
Right.
and so that's like the way I've been thinking about where we end up after all of this.
Same here for sure.
So I think the muscles that organizations, small, medium, and large, are going to build right now around live streaming. Those are muscles that are going to stand your organizations, your missions in good stead, well beyond the crisis that we're all in right now. Yeah. So so we want to talk now about public streaming destinations. So can't remember if you were going to speak to this, Rudy, or I was, but I'll hand it over to you and I'll interject as needed. So they're different networks. They all kind of have different purposes.
For sure. So obviously you start with YouTube, right? I think the biggest thing about YouTube is one, it's the second largest search engine, right behind Google. So a part of your strategy of having video, everywhere, it's, I think, definitely including YouTube in there for archival purposes, for discoverability purposes, is interoperability on different types of platforms, right? So from television sets to phones to iPads, I think that just the ability for people to watch it where they're at, and it's embedded, I think is a great platform to include as a part of your live streaming strategy.
Yeah, you were saying that, Rudy, that YouTube is like the #2 search engine
Right.
on the internet, right? Yeah, which I remember hearing, but I'd forgotten about that, right? So discoverability, from
It's
that
huge.
perspective. Yeah.
So yeah, so like, you're doing a topic or a talk and you're putting in great description. So when people are searching on Google and that search term comes up, you'll get text, but you'll also get a video that pertains to that as well. So if you're not using YouTube as a destination from a public standpoint, highly recommend that is a part of it.
Awesome.
I think you may have control. Yeah, I don't have control.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll let you try to take Facebook. I think.
Yeah, I mean,
You're
I think that
guy.
Facebook Live, I'd imagine that Facebook is at the top of everyone's list for
Sure.
streaming. It has the largest audience. We live in a Facebook world. So, maximizing reach is kind of a key element of why you would use a Facebook. I think Facebook is probably the easiest one to explain. They are live streaming for a lot of organizations. That's what live streaming, that's the destination. Twitter and Periscope. I've been an early adopter of Twitter. I am an early adopter of Twitter. I have been on the service for probably like 12 years now. Adopted it at one of some South by Southwest, like the South by Southwest, where like Twitter was the thing of that conference. Twitter generally runs on snippets.
Agreed.
It's good for certain verticals, like news and politics, sports, but there are a lot of like, it's generally not compatible with long form viewing. Periscope has some of its own characteristics, but I don't see in my experience that much sort of focus on Twitter and Periscope, except in some narrower niches. So you have to kind of judge whether your audience is sort of active and is on Twitter
Sure.
and Periscope, and then sort of like stream accordingly. LinkedIn Live is relatively new. It's a business audience. I think it's a really smart move on LinkedIn's part to add a live element to their network. But it's limited access, so you have to apply to get your account approved for live streaming. And the other thing you were telling me, Rudy, I didn't realize this, is that it doesn't just support RTMP. We'll talk about what that is, but you actually have to use a tool that's been integrated in with LinkedIn Live.
Yeah, they have a list of all the vetted providers that has that's gone through they have a checklist to make sure that you're able to stream your content to LinkedIn. And you're absolutely right. There is a vetting process. You have to sign up and get approved. I mean, I get it, right? It's a platform that's, like you said, it's for the business audience. And so you kind of want to make sure that the content that's there is curated and it's serving the masses as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, though, I think it's super smart on LinkedIn's part to be adding that as a part of their network, especially right now as conferences are being canceled. Just makes so much sense for LinkedIn to be a place where you can go and watch videos live. From businesses. Twitch is another
Huge.
Just a huge network. Traditionally it's esports, but there's also this like growing in real life category where it's not just gaming videos, but other things that you might traditionally find on other networks. So
yeah, we're seeing folks come in and start to include this as a part of their live strategy, right? So from like houses of worship to like sports therapy. I mean, especially if you're trying to reach a different demographic, maybe a little bit younger. I think that's a good starting point. And it's just interesting, it's from a destination standpoint. And that goes back to like the idea of, really where we started is you have these networks that have the large audience, and putting together a strategy to make sense for your content to be discoverable there is in your best interest.
Yeah, one of the viewers shared something which was interesting. Said they've been streaming to Facebook and YouTube simultaneously. Their YouTube channel has 100,000 followers, Facebook only 21, and they compared that the view counts are 400 on YouTube versus 25 on Facebook. So yeah, I think the question here becomes often about like, where's your audience?
Right.
But those are some of the characteristics that differentiate these different systems. So I want to like get a frame of reference on how often people are, going live each month. So I'm going to launch the poll. You should see it pop up on the screen right now. So everyone answer the question, and then I'll share the results back out with the audience. And we're well over 100 right now, well over 100 attendees. So that's great.
I don't think I've ever seen a poll. I don't think I've ever participated in a poll. Oh, at least on the Zoom webinar. This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what happened? I'm lost.
Well, so folks are responding to the poll question right now. So they're viewing the question, so they should be able to reply, and then
no, someone just says there no actual poll option, just an answer. Oh, there you go.
Let me try again. Relaunch the poll.
All these awesome features. There you go.
Yeah, now I see it. So
I see it,
you see the counter and stuff.
Yeah, this is cool. I like it.
Yeah.
I've never seen this before.
Yeah, so we got 16 people going live, 18 people going live 4 to 10 times a month. We'll share this back out to the group here in a moment.
What do you give it, like 30 seconds, I guess, or so?
Yeah, you'll see the number. By the way, to the audience, you're seeing Rudy and I, figure out live streaming in real time.
This is the joy of it, though, man. This is what it's all about, right? We're having a conversation, and people are actually experiencing it, and then, frankly, hopefully there's a tidbit to understand that what you can and can't do, with these technologies, right? So I think it's pretty.
Yeah,
cool.
That's right. Yeah, so everybody should see the poll results right now. Just to kind of go through it. Okay, so
Wow.
A third of the audience is streaming 4 to 10 times a month.
10 times a month.
Yeah.
So every once a week at least, right? Or twice a week, right? Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then we have about a fifth of the viewers are not live streaming yet. So that's great. Thanks for everyone for replying on that. So we'll continue on through the presentation. Okay, so I'm going to talk now about some of the foundational, kind of non-software things that you should think about when you're doing a live stream. And we've tried to, there are 100 things you could give attention to. We've tried to, focus on the three big legs of the stool. So one is connectivity. The important things on connectivity, you need to test your internet connection. So fast.com, which is run by Netflix, is I think is a great way to go. There's an option where you can get see more data. Normally it just gives you your download speed. To note, download speed does not matter for your live streams. It's just not important. On the upload speed, which is what you see in a box here, you want a minimum of 3 megabits a second. 5 megabits a second or more is ideal. The other consideration is latency. You'll see some numbers on the left-hand side here around latency. I don't know if the numbers will matter quite as much. You can use them to make comparisons in different configurations.
Right.
But the important thing is, to know that if you're on a wired internet connection, then that's lower latency, which is better than Wi-Fi, generally speaking. And Wi-Fi is going to be better than a cell phone, generally speaking. 5G, which is being deployed in some places, can actually have better latency, lower latency than all three of those. I think, Rudy, you were telling me that?
Yeah, I mean, just the amount of, it's kind of like asynchronous data. So upload and downloads are pretty much the same essentially, right? And then also like your points are present. So you want to make sure that whatever type of provider you're using, you're not streaming, to, South America if you're in, you're in DC, right? You want to make sure that your ingestion point that you're streaming to is much, much closer, just to keep the latency down, because it's all these hops, right? How do you traverse to where your end destination is?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so connectivity is important. Also, we'll mention this later, but if you have guests, they also need to worry about all of these things, connectivity, right?
And one good point someone mentioned in the chat is these numbers is just like bare minimum, assuming there's nothing else going on, right? So no one in the background is watching Netflix or doing other things or, posting to the gram, right? You don't want to have other things. This is I have, this dedicated, bandwidth to myself is a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, actually, my friend John Satriali from Emerson University, he just said kind of a similar point. He said in his real world experience, you really want a plan that does 10 megabits up or better. I'm sure nobody has kids that are studying from home right now that might be doing Google Hangouts.
Yeah. That's a very good point. Yeah.
I know I do. And like our internet bandwidth has been the pattern is not normal.
Right.
So yeah, John also, he added like 100 megabits is ideal. So that's great. Appreciate your
up and down.
That.
Yeah. If you can get up and down. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Another person who does live streaming here in Houston is someone I know named Iggy. And he was saying when he goes in to do live streaming, he doesn't guarantee anything unless they have 12 megabits per second or more.
Fair. Fair.
So we're going under. We were going under on our recommendation. So yeah, that's okay. Number 2 point. Lighting is important. The takeaway is you want lighting. So you can see the difference. I'm sure you've seen it on phone calls. You don't want to look like you're in a dimly lit bunker like a dimly lit bunker in Idaho, even if you happen to be in a dimly lit bunker in Idaho. So you want front lighting. You want lighting that's not going to blind you. So you want lighting that's diffuse. If you go on Amazon, there are a bunch of lights. I have, even before all of this, on my desk at work in my home office, I had a small light that clamped on the back of the desk, kind of like faced me, and provided that front illumination. You almost always want that for one of these webinars. Even if you're facing a window, you don't know when it's going to be overcast. So you want front lighting. On the left-hand side, this is like the kind of desk clamp-on light that I've used before, and that I use right now. Though I'm using a more advanced setup. That photo, the second photo, is what my desk looks like now. These are lights made by a company called Neewer, Neewer. I think they were $150. I've got we bought them in a set at work of 3 of them. I'm using 2 of them here, and then I have a ring light in the center. So I've got like 3 lights around me, and this is actually my standard. I
had a similar setup as well. With the newer lights, they're portable. It comes in that little case. It's definitely necessary, right? It's hard to focus if you can't see the people that are talking, for sure.
Yeah. Other tips that I've heard on lighting is, there's some can lights in the ceiling above me. I have those lights turned off. And by the way, this is not just a good idea for live streaming. These are good ideas for all the video conferences that all of us are holding all the time right now. So there are a couple of people on my team that I've said, look, you need to get better front lighting. Like, you look like you're in the witness relocation program, and trying to conceal your identity. So lighting is important. The last sort of big thing that I'll mention is audio. Try to avoid using your laptop's microphone. There's a lot of background noise that'll get picked up in that process.
Right.
Beyond that, there are a bunch of different options that are all pretty reasonable. I'll say on the high end, I've used really nice, like, I don't know how to pronounce it, Rode or Rode mics. And it's amazing. The audio quality you get from those is like totally different in terms of blocking out all background noise and just getting a really clean and crisp, representation of your voice. There's a guy in our office, Jamie, who's kind of an audiophile, and he brought in a couple of his own microphones once, and I was like, whoa, I had no idea. But these are the, earbuds, wired earbuds. I'm using AirPods right now. There's this popular Blue Yeti podcasting microphone,
right?
Which by the way, if you use that, make sure you pay attention to the dial on there that sets how it picks up audio. It can pick up audio in different fields.
Yeah, I'm actually using one now. I'm actually I have one right here. See, like this guy right there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, you're absolutely correct. You want to make sure that there's the different settings where it could pick up, front, people on the side, kind of a 360. So they've done a great job of, building a pretty economical, mic that helps out as well.
It's like $100 mic. Is that what that is? I can't remember.
100, between 100 150. Yeah, depending on when you get it with then you got to get the stand and make sure it's set properly. But the one thing I would even add with regards to just, audio in general is, people will, they'll fight through bad video if they have great audio. But if you have bad video and bad, audio, good luck, right? They're out of there, right? Because it's just the ability to be able to pick up and understand and like zero in, some people listen and they learn, differently than, from a visual standpoint. But if you have two of those qualities gone, right, it's lights out, literally, like people are gone.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, we're not talking about video here because we think these are the most important things to get right for your live stream. By the way, I saw in the comments somebody said that he's 99%, he or she is 99% sure that this isn't a live webinar. It is a live webinar because it's 1:32 and you can verify it's Central Time.
Yeah, I'm in East Coast time and it's 2:32. So
yeah. This is not a recorded webinar. Okay, so let's continue on here. Another poll question. We want to get an idea of where folks are live streaming. So check all that apply. Here we go. So hopefully it worked properly this time.
I don't see it on my screen yet.
All right.
There you go. Now I see it. Yeah. Last time you did that.
Yeah, we're encountering a Zoom bug. It takes like, no, stop sharing. Relaunch poll. Okay, how about now? Is the poll showing up like for people to answer? There we go.
There you go.
It's working. Yeah. Cool.
I think it's kind of cool. I just like seeing the numbers go by so fast. I don't know why. It's just I know really they can't see this, but it reminds me of like I don't know, like what is that? It's kind of like a horse race from a top-down view, right? And you got Facebook Live, and then you got YouTube, and you got Twitch, up, and here comes a website, and like
yeah. Tap into your inner auctioneer.
Exactly.
Great. Yeah. So now I will share the results. So, I'm not surprised to see that the number one, is Facebook Live.
Billions of people. Why not? Right? Billions of people on that platform.
Yeah. Yep. It's a Facebook world. So YouTube number two, followed by kind of equal, Periscope, Twitter. What would be some of the things that fall into other, Rudy? You suspect?
So other could be maybe a mobile app, right? I think, or a set-top box, kind of like maybe OTT. I think maybe that will fall in there, depending on, how people watch your content. Yeah, I think those probably will be it.
Yeah, talk about Instagram for a moment, right? Because I also saw a question earlier from someone where they said, what about Instagram? Instagram Live is a thing, right? And
it's huge. Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, but so the thing with Instagram is right now is obviously relegated to just your phone. So the ability for people to kind of have, these lives, and the term just lives, right? That's become a thing now. Facebook lives or Instagram lives, right? That's the actual, verb. But the challenge is, and we get asked this a ton, is like, how can I take a great quality produced show, right, and stream that to Instagram? And right now, there really isn't native support for that. I think they've done a couple like really, really big, large tentpole events, like World Cup type stuff where there was a live component on there. But if someone's doing it, there's probably services out there where, they may or may not be doing it the right way. But from what I understand, there's no native support for third-party encoders or entry points to be able to support for Instagram Live.
Yeah, and the thing I would say about Instagram is in trying to understand their product philosophy, even just on like composition of photos, there's a strong tendency for them to want the content creation to happen on their platform. So I think they're just applying that to, not just the content creation, but even like the presentation of that content. They don't want to be a conduit for like people using some other program to create photos. So live video is just another example of that, where they want it all within, they want to control the whole experience from the way the content gets created to the way it gets experienced within the Instagram, app, the news feed, notifications, etc.
Or if I was a betting man, I would say, the one maybe component that makes sense for that type of content, maybe be Instagram TV, right? So you get the horizontal video. I mean, it's longer format. It supports that. I think if there were a way where there was support added, I think that makes a ton of sense in my mind.
Yeah.
IGTV.
Awesome. So you should be able to control the screen and advance the slides, Rudy.
Let's see here. There we go. These are arrow keys. There we go. Well, cool. So I think I'd probably say it's pretty safe that, a large majority of people that's on this call have been doing these types of events, right? Where they're using some form of a webinar or streaming platform to conduct business, right? And so, our thing is we wanted to kind of just, how can you take, a similar type approach and do so with the technologies that we have now, right? This is weird. It's going backwards. Let's see. There we go. All right. So here's a quick example of a diagram, right? So we talked about audio, we talked about lighting. There's different types of software that you can use, obviously, on your computer. And then part of that is, how do you get guests in, right? So there's different ways, and we'll get to the next slide to kind of go a little deeper dive. But the goal is you have a tool that's your stage, right? So you do a fireside chat, you're sitting down at stage, you have, one or two people talking, and, the conference room is your audience, right? And so we like to think about it in that same manner, where you have these awesome platforms, like on the right-hand side of all these audiences, right? So these are audiences that are, segmented throughout the world, and people are on these platforms, consuming content. And how can you get your fireside chat in front of these audiences? And, one of the things that you want to look for is, that there's different webinars that have, great packages and platforms for a true webinar experience. But if you want to be able to like open that door and reach other audiences, making sure they have the ability to do an RTMP out, right? And so RTMP is just the ability for you to send that stream to one of these other platforms that supports the video to come in. And where we get really bullish on it is, now you're able to take this webinar, kind of like what we're doing right now. I believe you're going to a couple of SnapStream socials. We're going to Switchboard Live social. And, now we have the ability to kind of tap into our audiences, and people can consume it wherever they're at. And then if they want to join the conversation, hey, come over here, come join the webinar, right? And then they can ask questions and participate. So just something, to kind of resemble that same type of approach, where people are always walking by conferences and, conventions, and they say, oh, this sounds like a great topic. Let me come in, let me join, and let me listen in. The same thing can happen if someone's scrolling on Periscope and they see, some great quality content that catches their eye. Now they can watch and, oh, I want to learn more. I want to be a part of this. Now they can do so. I don't know if you had anything you want to chime in, or are you good?
No, no, that's right. Big picture. You know, you're basically like we're doing right now. I'm running Zoom. We'll talk about some of the software options on my laptop. You know, Rudy's running it on his. But the key is RTMP out.
Right.
That's the kind of the lingua franca. That's like the connector to all of these different services.
Got it. So just like Rakesh said, is Zoom. So in both meetings and webinars, there's a feature in Zoom. So if you look in the upper right-hand corner, there's a quick snapshot where Zoom natively allows support for, streaming on Facebook, Workplace, and YouTube. But they've also had this feature, and it's been here probably for a good number of years, at least 2 years or so, where you could stream to a live streaming service. And what that means is that is the RTMP out, right? That allows you to take this stage, take this platform, take whatever, event that's going on, and then push it somewhere else. And the setup is pretty straightforward. It's the same kind of technical details that you need, which would be your server information and your stream key. You pop that in to your Zoom account, and then there's a button that says, like we said, go live, and it will send it out to that platform. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward. And I believe you could do it with the Pro account, which is their $14.95 or $15 a month kind of price point that allows you to do it for meetings. And then if you need webinars, then that's obviously an add-on, but they still have the support for custom RTMP out as well.
Yeah, and I'm glad you addressed that, because there was a question on the stream on the Q&A about ballpark pricing. So this is something that
pretty economical.
May not. It's not there on the free accounts, but on the $15 a month account, the Pro account, it is a part of that stack.
Yeah, for sure. And then the last
somebody asked, they're getting ahead of us, but like they asked about graphics and video playout, and Zoom doesn't have any of those like higher production value features. We'll talk about some options for that. But with this idea of fireside chats and panels, like our approach is, what's the simplest way to go live? Like this is kind of the simplest format event.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to deal with, for some people, maybe the encoder is intimidating, right? So they've either participated or conducted a Zoom meeting. It's there. It's my web camera, right? I just take this piece, this tool, and then I can hit go live. I had a point I wanted to bring up with regards to that. Oh, it was the graphics and so forth. If there was a need where you needed to show a graphic or overlay, I mean, you could essentially, do something like this, right? It's a slideshow, it's a presentation. So think of this as our big screen, right? We're going through, a deck. It's not full motion video because there will probably be some delay there, but at least, you can get the point across as well. Let's see here. Click and go. Another great software is Ecamm Live, right? So we talked about Zoom and how that has RTMP out. And in the question that we just asked about graphics and overlays and so forth, Ecamm Live is a fantastic software that's Mac only, that allows you to, kind of step up your game and have the ability for, prepackaged content, lower thirds, graphics, overlays. And if you want to bring someone else in remotely, they have a tie-in with Skype, so you can use Skype as your communication tool to bring remote guests in and have this fireside chat, right? Two-way conversation with the ability for graphics, with the ability for overlay, and really have a produced stream. And I believe you could, I think it's fair to say you could do it by yourself, right? You don't need to have, a team, right? This is something, if you're familiar with the platform or, the program, that you should be able to pull off, by yourself as well.
Yeah, and I didn't know about Ecamm Live until we put this webinar together, Rudy. And I know Switchboard has an integration with Ecamm Live, but
right.
Like it really struck me how simple it is to get up and going with Ecamm Live. This morning when you and I were talking, I downloaded it, installed it, got up and running on their 14-day trial, all in like 2 minutes, 5 minutes. I mean, it was super easy, and it's not expensive. Like this is.
$15 a month, right? I believe,
15
right?
to 15 to $25 a month.
15 to 25, yeah, exactly. And just to kind of a disclaimer out there, right? So there's definitely other softwares that you can use as well. We just wanted to kind of just mention that for simplicity standpoint and kind of starting out, this is one. There's OBS, there's Wirecast, there's others softwares out there that you can use as well. But I think for just like Rakesh said, 5 minutes getting up and going, and kind of replicating that same workflow. If you want to have graphics and so forth, Ecamm is a great alternative. And for some people, computers are just scary, right? So they don't want to do anything on their computer. And Switcher Studio is a great software for your phone, right? They have an iPhone app, iPad app that allows you to take the same type of flow, right? Meaning graphics and overlays and prepackaged, leader slides and trailer slides. Like, think about everything you would do on your computer, but on your phone, right? And one cool feature with Switcher Studio is you can actually have other iPhones be a part of it. And now if you had 2 iPhones, that's a different camera angle. So if you're in a room with a couple other people and you set up a shop, and think about how many people amongst your friends that have an iPhone, right? You can have Switcher Studio be your multi-camera shoot software. And from there they have RTMP out, and then you can go to all your various destinations as well. And they have native support for Facebook and YouTube and etc. So Switcher Studio is a great alternative for people that want to use iOS device.
Awesome. So I can speak to some of the additional considerations, okay. Just like things to keep in mind for these, any of these tools. Like right now, we are not only broadcasting this through Zoom, but also live on Facebook Live, Periscope, both SnapStream and Switchboard Live's accounts, and we're live on LinkedIn through the Switchboard Live account. People could be posting questions in all of those places. It's important to let everyone know that if they want to join the conversation, ask questions, direct them to a particular place. Like in our case, it's Zoom. And if you look at all the social posts, all of our social posts are directing people to log into the Zoom call. Just think about content sharing. I know somebody, you talked about full motion video. Ecamm Live does support delivering pre-roll and post-roll video. And so does Switcher Studio, I believe.
Yep, you're correct. Yep.
Yeah. Obviously, we talked about bringing in a remote person. The only thing I'll say here is you want to make sure that your guests are also taking consideration of lighting and audio and internet connectivity. So, and
yes. I remember this. I actually attended an event up in New York at the YouTube studio, or what do they call them? I can't think the term that they have, but one of the guys there, I think on every slide, and this is coming from YouTube, right? On every slide, Warren is his name. Warren's a great guy. I've known him for a couple of years. Test. I think that was the beginning of the slide, end of the slide. He always wanted to test and make sure, right? Because you never know what can happen with your setup and internet connectivity and so forth. I mean, we're just not at that stage yet where it's gonna work all the time 100%. But you want to have that extra certainty that at least that you did everything you could do. So just test, and then probably test again. Can't emphasize it enough.
Yeah, you had a great story. You had a great story about was it like a E3 conference where a major keynote got broadcast early?
Well, that was a different type of test. That was one too many test, right? Yeah, we probably shouldn't have done that. So that was a unscheduled test, if you would, right?
Right, where some secrets got out before the actual event. Okay, yeah. I have another poll question. This is kind of close to SnapStream's business, but I'm curious about, do you create and share clips of your live stream? So, you're broadcasting the long form video, but are you taking moments of the long form video and sharing those? Let me try again. Seems like we have a new tip for you. If you use Zoom webinars, you have to relaunch your poll question, do it twice in order for them to actually get displayed so people can answer them. So the question is, do you create and share clips of your live streams?
Oh, look, someone in the chat says they broadcast hockey games with Switcher Studio. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
That's
awesome.
that's an interesting shot, I bet too. Hey Keith, is that a multi I guess multi camera shot?
Yeah, great. So let me share the poll questions, poll results. Uh,
Hmm.
it's actually more than I thought it would be. So about a third of the audience, yes, they do this right now. Another third are don't do it but are interested, and just the rest are not interested. We had 2% who don't know what clips are. We'll talk later. Okay, so awesome. I'll take you through these last couple slides pretty quickly. We're at about 50 minutes into the webinar. Just briefly, we'll talk about medium-sized events and webinars. These are marked by having shared handouts. You can see we're doing poll questions, maybe structured Q&A, a bunch of tools that kind of represent the old guard in this space. The new guard, it's really interesting. I'm not an expert on these tools, and maybe we can become experts. And the next one of these we do, Rudy, we'll talk about some of these tools. But
Yeah.
They're worth checking out. One of the things that distinguishes the webinar tools on the left from the ones on the right is the ones on the right kind of get into more of like live events. They also tend to have better connectivity. They sort of were built in a world with all of these other destinations, so they
Mhm.
have like RTMP out. Generally though, the big benefit of like this next level is, you're able to drive more engagement with your audience. You're able to capture data about the audience and then drive actions after the webinar. So those are kind of the big things that you'll gain from like taking this next step up. Now, the tools tend to be higher cost.
Right.
There can be more upfront work to configure. For example, if you're going to do poll questions, you might be like, oh, it's really easy, but you need to think about that ahead of time, like construct the questions you're going to ask and the responses, so you get good engagement from your audiences.
I think someone had a question about one of the other
Yeah.
slides, but we'll can come back to it, I guess.
Yeah. You could also it could require additional staffing to during and after the event. So something to be aware of is, even with a Switcher studio, there are a lot of things you can do live. And as I'm hosting this webinar, it's kind of hard for me to do too many other things at the same time, right? Without having like lags and pauses. And so just be aware that there could be a point here that you cross where you do need additional staff. And by the way, we have somebody from SnapStream that's helping us out, who's kind of running the live streaming side of this, using Switchboard Live. So we definitely had help. The only thing that we'll put out there as a recommendation here is like strategically, same idea, expand the reach of your events by leveraging, in addition to those direct channels, like we're hosting this on Zoom, also broadcast live to various social channels. Okay. Last point, a lot of people have been mentioning in the chat thread here about Wirecast. Wirecast is super popular.
Sure.
vMix, TriCaster is a common thing. NewBlue and Singular Live do graphics. So there's been this whole movement. It didn't start recently. It's been around forever, of higher and higher production values coming to more and more people. And generally, this movement is called at-home production. If you Google that, you'll find a bunch of resources. So there's always a complexity trade-off with these things. These are some things you can but you can go, if this was like too basic for you, these are sort of, where you can go next. We won't say a lot more about this. So with that, we're at the end of the webinar, and Rudy, you can give some. We'll kind of give a brief on our companies and then do a Q&A, and we'll stick around. I don't know how you're placed, Rudy, but I'm free to stick around for a little bit.
Yeah, I have time as well. Yeah. So real quick, first off, thank you guys for, obviously, joining us today. We just kind of want to, like Rakesh said, talk about some concepts to get you really thinking about, your business and how you can leverage live. And so Switchboard, our whole mission is making it easy for your live content to exist on all, the popular social media channels. Just for, awesome use cases, this event right now, right? So we're using Zoom, and we're taking this stream and we're going to Switchboard and we're sending it to 4 to 7 different destinations. So it makes it easy, makes it simple, where one click, you're publishing the title, the description, the metadata, you're, publishing it out to all your social destinations, simultaneously. Just like Rakesh said, being able to have the discoverability so people can watch and they come back, and then, learn more about your business. And I just, personally have seen, all the inbound and request of, from yoga instructors to real estate to, psychologists. People are now super interested of figuring out ways that they can still conduct business and, do and leverage live video to help them. And so that's our mission, is to make it easy for live video to reach the masses and allow you to put the content where people are already watching it.
And SnapStream makes a product that makes it easy for organizations to surface the highlights of their videos. In particular, live videos. So whether it's broadcast television or it's something that's going out to Facebook Live, YouTube Live, all the things that we've been talking about. The reason why we think highlights are really important is because it's our belief that clips make culture. We live in a world today where the short snippets are what drive our decision making, and they're what influence us. So we have this product that takes in from a Switchboard Live or directly from your encoder, an RTMP stream, or even just broadcast television. And we go through this process of find, edit, and then share. So we make it really easy to find the key moments within these videos. For example, on the TV side, we have really powerful closed captioning search, where how The Daily Show and Colbert, Samantha Bee, John Oliver, and a few hundred others record and search television.
That's awesome.
We have, editing capabilities. So you don't need to go out. You can do kind of the basic editing capabilities without going out to a Adobe Premiere or a Final Cut Pro. And then we have integration to very quickly run this process and share the clips you create to all the major social networks, OVPs, CDN. We've listed a couple of destinations, but we support, probably 20 or 30 different destinations. Listed some of our customers down below. If you spend a lot of time reading news and following sports on Twitter, you'll see a bunch of tweets that come from SnapStream, because that's a pretty common thing for us. But
awesome.
That gives everyone a frame of reference on SnapStream. Yeah. So, and we have an integration coming soon with Switchboard Live, something we're working on to be a one-touch integration with Switchboard. So with that, let us know what your questions are. We'll hang around, and we appreciate everyone joining us here today. Oh, and our contact information is listed here, so feel free to get in touch with either of us. So call, email. We know that folks have had to scramble a little bit, and people are trying to get their setups and systems stabilized. I think Rudy and I both really get it. We're both practitioners as well as entrepreneurs in this space.
Sure.
So yeah, we will share the recording out to everyone afterwards. And somebody asked for slides, and so we'll see. We'll probably include a link to the slides as well.
Well, also the archive is going to be on our social channel. So like we're streaming it to our YouTube and Facebook. So like as soon as we hit stop, it's there. I mean, it's there now. So yeah. But the slides, of course, yeah, exactly. You could definitely share out the slides. So how do you want to take questions? Like I've seen a good amount. I have some hands raised, and then we have some other that's in the chat.
Yeah. So there's a hand raise. Right. Why don't we channel all the Q&A through the chat, and you can pick any off that you want. You can just like say, hey, so and so asked this question.
Okay.
Let's see.
guess we can start from the bottom. Let's, thanks for sharing, teaching live. Okay. Does
Oh
anyone
yeah,
know
I
of
do
any
have one. I do have one question for the audience. If you want to throw this into chat, if Rudy and I did another one of these, what would you like to hear about? What are your challenges
Good
with
question.
live streaming? Love to hear, you know, a view on that to drive any future webinars that we might do.
So Jay asked a specific question about Switchboard. Does Switchboard let you connect to a scheduled future live event on YouTube Event Manager? It looked like to me like I could only cast in my main channel page. Am I wrong? Great question, Jay. So right now, we do not have support for a pre-scheduled YouTube event to be able to be pulled in via their API. But if this is something that you need to do, you can actually grab the RTMP information from that scheduled event, pop it in Switchboard as a custom RTMP destination, and then you can support that. So that's kind of like a workaround that you could do for now. But coming forth, we will have support for scheduled events from YouTube. And we also do have support for scheduled events on Facebook. So you can schedule your events in Switchboard to be published onto Facebook. So let's see. Here's a question for you from Jim Petramilli. I believe he's out in LA. We've talked a couple times. How does SnapStream work financially for small businesses? Twitter Studio is free.
SnapStream is not free. Yeah, I mean, how does it work?
I'm sure Jim knows that. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Jim, why don't you get in touch with us? But generally speaking, SnapStream today is sold per input per month. That number per input per month is about $1,000. We're doing work around building a packaging of the product specifically for events. So if you just needed to go live, you know, once a month or twice a month, you know, something that, you know, isn't so tied to continuous use. So just email me, rakesh@snapstream.com. I'd love to learn more about what it is you're trying to do. Can't compete with free, but there's obviously Twitter Studio is a really basic tool for creating clips.
Here's one. So live to Switchboard using Zoom for panels. I believe so. Yeah. So you can definitely use Zoom as essentially your encoder. So, you know, if you want to use your webcam and bring people in to have a panel, again, you have the ability to use RTMP out to go to, you know, one or many destinations. So yeah, definitely use Zoom as your way to go out.
Yeah, somebody asked the question. Simran said, you know, is there a best software platform for political panels? And I you know, I'm not really sure what political panels mean. I assume that it's, you know, a bunch of experts getting together. I'd probably say Zoom is a good option for that. Or you could look at Ecamm Live. You could try that out. That could be a good option as well. But yeah, it's just one of these software packages that let you pull in multiple people at the same time.
Here's a good question. How to promote your live stream event? So yeah, I think, you know, for me, what I've seen from a practitioner standpoint and seeing, you know, events go live is you have to pick that date and work backwards, right? So it's tough to market or promote an event or do a live stream, you know, the day of, unless you just have an amazing audience, and at that point you don't need to promote it. I guess, you know, you have an engaged audience. But you know, I definitely think there's obviously ways where you can do so with regards to creating the event, creating, you know, landing pages, you know, from an SEO perspective, right? You know, making sure there's some keywords that are searching there, creating quick snippets ahead of time, you know, talking about the event that's upcoming. Obviously, you know, traditional using your email list and reaching out to folks as well. But I also think you have to build momentum. You have to lead up to it. It can't be, you know, the day or 2 days before. It should definitely be something where it's a part of the activation, right? And I think that's also kind of a good quick segue is when you're doing live video, you know, the expectation that people are just going to automatically see it and come in and then be a part of it, you know, that can definitely be challenging. So, so the more that you can promote it, the more that you can, you know, market the event that it is coming. I know we've sent out emails. You guys have sent out emails. You know, that just keeps it top of mind And and one of the benefits for live video is that fear of missing out, right? Is you want to make sure that people know that this date and this time that they're gonna tune in. And then I say one more point. The last thing is, when you're leveraging your social channels, right, have those notifications, have those reminders so that when you are live, people will, get the dings and get the emails and notifications that, said party is live, and they can tune in and then be directed from a call to action of where you want them to go to watch it. Rakesh, I don't know if you had anything to chime in about that or not.
No. I
Okay.
mean, I think it kind of becomes a marketing question
I agree.
on the promotion side. And, obviously, like if you kind of compare it to the cable and the traditional broadcast linear television side of the world, bundles, the sort of cable bundles are a really powerful thing. In the digital world, I think you need to like have partners that help that help promote the stuff that you're creating. Just something to think about is, who else can like share your stream that you're partnered with at the same time.
So this is one from Phil to all panelists. Biggest challenge right now, how to be able to host a live event where all of my participants are remote and combine that with live interaction across social media platforms. Example, I have a 3-person panel that I want to broadcast, and I want to incorporate video clips, lower thirds, and polls from Twitter. So this kind of goes, I think, back to the, what do we say, the medium size or the second kind of grouping where you're using, a product or software that allows for that. So like at Ecamm or Wirecast, where you're able to bring in remote people, right? You're able to produce the event. You're able to stream it out. And I also believe you can take, questions and information, live via Twitter as well. So, that to me would be like a great way to start. And then there's also, I think we probably even left out, there's also some, online platforms that are, platform specific, like Be Live is a great, platform for Facebook where you can do a similar like thing, but really built for the Facebook platform where you can do polling and questions and graphics and pull in tweets, as well. New Blue has a great product that does that as well. So it's really, I would like to say there really isn't an exact science or playbook. It goes back to part of that, comfortability and testing. But what you want to achieve, Phil, is definitely doable, and just putting in the time and effort to be able to do that can definitely happen.
Yeah.
What is couch?
All right. Oh, so we, before we started focusing on selling our product to enterprise customers, we had a social network for people that watched television, and the main component of it was a TV listings grid. So you could put in your zip code and be like, see what was coming on TV tonight and tomorrow and so on and so forth. And it was called Couchville. So yeah.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Seals Media, you got it, Mr. Seal. We'll definitely do that. Cool.
Awesome. Cool. So let's wrap it up. Thank you everyone for joining us today. You have our contact information. Get in touch if we can help with anything. Rudy, I really enjoyed it. Let's do it again.
Next time, man. Let's do it again. I love it. Take care, guys. Have a good weekend.
Yeah. Bye.